Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the Nexus, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of the wormhole before her. The experimental ship hummed with energy, its quantum drive pushing the boundaries of human technology. As humanity's first deep space exploration vessel, the Nexus represented the culmination of decades of research and the hopes of billions back on Earth. All systems nominal, Captain, reported Lieutenant Ravi Mehta, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. We're ready to make the jump. Ilara nodded, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Initiate wormhole traversal, Lieutenant. Let's make history. The Nexus surged forward, its sleek hull disappearing into the cosmic maelstrom. For a moment, reality itself seemed to bend and twist around them. Ilara felt a curious sensation, as if her consciousness was expanding beyond the confines of her body. Then, with a flash of blinding light, they emerged on the other side. Position confirmed, Captain, announced Commander Sarah O'Neill, the ship's XO. We've successfully traveled over 100,000 light-years. We're in the Andromeda Galaxy. A cheer erupted on the bridge, but Ilara remained focused. Something didn't feel right. The strange sensation lingered, a buzzing at the edge of her mind. Full sensor sweep, she ordered. Let's see what's out there. As the Nexus's advanced sensors probed the surrounding space, Ilara's unease grew. The stars looked wrong somehow. Patterns emerged in her mind, revealing hidden connections and impossible geometries. Captain, I'm detecting an anomaly, Ravi reported, his voice tinged with confusion. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. Ilara saw it before the image even appeared on the main view screen. A massive structure loomed before them, its surface covered in intricate, shifting patterns. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. My God, Sarah whispered. What is that thing? It's calling to me, Ilara murmured, her eyes glazing over. Before anyone could stop her, she strode to the teleporter pad. I need to see it up close. Captain, wait. Sarah called out, but it was too late. In a shimmer of light, Ilara vanished from the bridge. She materialized inside the alien structure, surrounded by pulsing, organic-looking technology. At the center stood a pillar of pure energy, tendrils of light reaching out towards her. Without hesitation, Ilara stepped forward and placed her hand on the pillar. Knowledge flooded her mind. The history of countless civilizations, the secrets of the universe itself, all poured into her consciousness. Ilara screamed as her brain struggled to process the torrent of information. Back on the Nexus, the crew watched in horror as energy engulfed their captain. When it faded, Ilara stood motionless, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Captain Chen, do you copy? Sarah's voice crackled over the comm. We're bringing you back now. As Ilara rematerialized on the bridge, the alien structure began to disintegrate. Within seconds, it had vanished completely, leaving no trace of its existence. I saw everything, Ilara gasped, struggling to form words. The artifact, it was left behind by an ancient race. They seeded the galaxies with knowledge, waiting for someone worthy to claim it. Before her stunned crew could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A massive vessel had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, dwarfing the Nexus. Unknown ship, identify yourself, a harsh alien voice demanded over the comm channel. You have breached Zarkan Empire territory. Prepare to be boarded and your technology confiscated. Ilara's mind raced, processing the new threat with impossible speed. In an instant, she understood the Zarkan, their history, their technology, their weaknesses. Evasive maneuvers, she ordered, her voice ringing with newfound authority. Ravi, plot a course through the asteroid field at heading 276 Mark V. Sarah, divert all power to shields and the quantum drive. The crew hesitated for a split second, thrown by their captain's transformation. But years of training kicked in, and they moved to obey. The Nexus dove into the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks with preternatural precision. The Zarkan ship fired, energy beams lancing out into space, but Ilara anticipated every shot, guiding the Nexus to safety with uncanny skill. Impossible. The Zarkan commander sputtered. No human ship could navigate that field at such speeds. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. "You have no idea what we're capable of," she replied, cutting the communication. As they emerged from the asteroid field, Ilara felt the quantum drive powering up. "Prepare for emergency jump," she announced. "I'm feeding new coordinates directly into the nav computer." The stars stretched into lines of light, and the Nexus vanished into subspace, leaving the bewildered Zarkan far behind. In the aftermath of their narrow escape, the bridge fell silent. All eyes turned to Ilara, who stood calmly at the center of the storm. "Captain," Sarah ventured, "what happened to you down there?" Ilara turned to face her crew, her eyes still glowing faintly. "Everything has changed," she said softly. "The artifact gave me knowledge beyond imagination. I can see patterns in space-time, predict outcomes with near-perfect accuracy. But it's more than that. I think it's evolving me." "Evolving you?" Ravi asked, his voice a mix of awe and fear. "Into what?" "I don't know," Ilara admitted. "But I do know this. We've stumbled into something much bigger than our mission. The Zarkan Empire rules this galaxy with an iron fist, crushing any civilization that might challenge them. They can't be allowed to get their hands on this technology." She paused, looking each crew member in the eye. "We may be the only thing standing between humanity and annihilation. The Nexus was built to explore, but now it must become something more, a sword and shield for Earth. Are you with me?" One by one, the crew nodded their assent. They had signed up for a journey into the unknown, but none of them could have predicted this. As the Nexus sped through subspace towards an uncertain future, Ilara felt the weight of destiny settling upon her shoulders. The true test was just beginning. The hunt begins. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Nexus, broken only by the distant pinpricks of unfamiliar stars. In the 3 weeks since their encounter with the Zarkan, Captain Ilara Chen and her crew had been on a constant run, jumping from system to system to evade their pursuers. On the bridge, Ilara stood motionless, her eyes closed in deep concentration. To an outside observer, she might have appeared asleep, but inside her mind, a storm raged. Streams of data flowed through her consciousness, star charts, ship schematics, quantum equations, all processed and analyzed at speeds no normal human could comprehend. "Captain," Sarah's voice broke through Ilara's trance. "We've received a transmission. Well, you should see this." Ilara's eyes snapped open, glowing with an eerie blue light. "Put it on screen," she commanded, her voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of a Zarkan official. His insectoid features were twisted into what Ilara recognized as an expression of barely contained rage. "Attention, fugitive vessel," the Zarkan growled. "This is Admiral Krovak of the Imperial Fleet. Your acts of aggression against the Zarkan Empire will not go unpunished. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Ilara stepped forward, her enhanced mind already formulating multiple strategies. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth ship Nexus. We have no quarrel with your empire, Admiral. We merely seek peaceful exploration." Krovak's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Lies. Our sensors detected the energy pulse when you activated the precursor artifact. That technology belongs to the Zarkan by right of conquest. Surrender it, or we will take it by force." As Krovak spoke, Ilara's mind raced. In an instant, she had analyzed his speech patterns, body language, and the subtle harmonics of his voice. She saw the truth hidden beneath his bravado. Fear. The Zarkan were terrified of what the Nexus represented. "I'm afraid that's not possible, Admiral," Ilara replied coolly. The artifact's knowledge is now part of me. If you want it, you'll have to take me alive." Krovak's compound eyes widened in surprise. "So be it, human. Know that you have doomed not only yourself, but your entire species. The full might of the Zarkan Empire will descend upon your homeworld. We will." Ilara cut the transmission with a wave of her hand. "Ravi, plot a course for the nearest nebula. Sarah, I need you to reconfigure our shields to emit a inverse tachyon field. It should mask our quantum signature." As her crew scrambled to obey, Ilara felt a twinge of guilt. Her transformation had thrust them all into this dangerous game of cat and mouse. But there was no turning back now. The Nexus plunged into the swirling gases of the nebula, its advanced sensors allowing it to navigate the treacherous terrain with ease. But even as they found temporary shelter, Ilara knew it was only a matter of time before the Zarkan found them again. Over the next few days, Ilara pushed herself to the limit, exploring the depths of her new abilities. She found she could interface directly with the Nexus's systems, merging her consciousness with the ship's eye. Together, they became something greater than the sum of their parts, a hybrid of human intuition and machine precision. As Ilara's powers grew, so did the unease among her crew. They watched their captain transform before their eyes, becoming something less human with each passing day. "Captain," Sarah approached hesitantly one evening. "The crew, we're worried about you. You hardly eat or sleep anymore. And your eyes." Ilara turned to face her XO, her gaze softening. "I know it's difficult to understand, Sarah, but I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. The artifact has opened my mind to possibilities I never imagined. With these abilities, we might stand a chance against the Zarkan." Sarah nodded, not entirely convinced. "Just don't forget who you are, Ilara. We need our captain, not just a weapon against the Empire." Before Ilara could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Multiple Zarkan vessels detected. Ravi shouted from his station. "They found us." Ilara's mind immediately connected with the Nexus's systems. Through the ship's sensors, she could see the Zarkan fleet emerging from warp, 5 cruisers, and a massive dreadnought. "Battle stations," Ilara commanded, her voice resonating with power. "Ravi, plot an erratic course through the nebula. Sarah, divert all non-essential power to shields and weapons." The Nexus shot forward, diving deeper into the nebula. Energy beams lanced out from the Zarkan ships, most dissipating harmlessly in the charged gases. But a few found their mark, rocking the human vessel. "Shields at 60%. Sarah reported. "We can't take much more of this." Ilara's eyes glowed brighter as she processed the tactical data. In her mind, she saw patterns emerging. Weaknesses in the Zarkan formation, fluctuations in their shield harmonics. "On my mark," she said, her voice eerily calm. "Fire a full spread of quantum torpedoes. Target coordinates are being fed to your console now, Ravi." "But Captain," Ravi protested, "there's nothing there but nebula gas." "Trust me," Ilara insisted. As the Zarkan ships closed in, Ilara counted down in her head. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The Nexus unleashed its payload, the torpedoes streaking into the seemingly empty space ahead. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, a massive explosion blossomed in the heart of the nebula. The shockwave caught 3 of the Zarkan cruisers, sending them spinning out of control. "Direct hits," Ravi exclaimed. "But how?" "The nebula's magnetic field lines," Ilara explained, a hint of a smile on her face. "I used them to curve the torpedo's trajectory." The Zarkan never saw it coming. Even as the crew celebrated their small victory, Ilara knew the battle was far from over. The remaining Zarkan ships regrouped, adjusting their tactics. "Incoming transmission," Sarah announced. "It's Admiral Krovak." The Zarkan's face appeared on screen, his alien features contorted with a mixture of rage and grudging respect. "Impressive, Captain Chen. I underestimated you." But this game ends now. Surrender or watch your ship be torn apart. Ilara met Krovak's gaze unflinchingly. You're right about one thing, Admiral. This does end now. With a thought, Ilara interfaced directly with the Nexus's quantum drive. She could see the fabric of space-time itself, the hidden currents that flowed between the stars. With surgical precision, she calculated a jump that should have been impossible. Hold on to something, she warned her crew. This is going to get rough. The Nexus's engines flared to life, tearing a hole in reality itself. In a flash of blinding light, the ship vanished, leaving the stunned Zarkan fleet behind. When they emerged from the jump, the crew found themselves in an entirely different sector of space. Ilara sagged in her chair, the strain of the maneuver taking its toll even on her enhanced physiology. "We're clear," she managed to say before slipping into unconsciousness. As Sarah rushed to Ilara's side, the rest of the crew exchanged worried glances. They had escaped the Zarkan for now, but at what cost? Their captain was changing, becoming something they no longer fully understood. And somewhere out in the vast expanse of space, Admiral Krovak was undoubtedly planning his next move. The hunt had only just begun. Allies in the shadows. The dingy spaceport on Helios VI was a hive of activity, a melting pot of species from across the galaxy. Cloaked figures hurried through crowded streets, neon signs flickered in dozens of alien languages, and the air was thick with the scent of exotic foods and engine exhaust. Captain Ilara Chen moved through the throng with purposeful strides, her hood pulled low over her glowing eyes. Sarah and Ravi flanked her, hands never straying far from their concealed weapons. After weeks of running, they had come to this lawless world on the edge of Zarkan space, following whispers of a resistance movement. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" Sarah murmured, eyeing a group of surly-looking aliens as they passed. "This place is crawling with bounty hunters and Imperial spies." Ilara nodded, her enhanced senses taking in every detail of their surroundings. "We don't have a choice. We need allies if we're going to survive, let alone stop the Zarkan." They approached a nondescript door tucked away in a dark alley. Ilara raised her hand to knock, but before she could, the door slid open. "Come in quickly," a raspy voice urged from the shadows. You were followed. The trio slipped inside, finding themselves in a dimly lit room filled with humming computer terminals. Their host, a tall avian creature with iridescent feathers, regarded them with sharp, intelligent eyes. "I am Zinra," the alien introduced itself. "Welcome to the heart of the resistance, Captain Chen." Ilara lowered her hood, her glowing eyes casting an eerie light in the room. "You know who we are." Zinra clicked its beak in amusement. "Your exploits against the Zarkan have not gone unnoticed. Many in the shadows cheer for the lone human ship that defies the Empire." As they spoke, Ilara's mind raced, processing the wealth of information surrounding them. The resistance network was vast, spanning dozens of worlds, but fragmented and loosely organized. "We need your help," Ilara said, getting straight to the point. "The Zarkan are planning an attack on Earth. We have to stop them." Zinra's feathers ruffled in agitation. "A bold goal, but how do you propose to do that? The Empire's military might is unmatched in the galaxy." Ilara's eyes flared brighter. "Not unmatched. Not anymore. We've acquired certain advantages, but we need intelligence on Zarkan operations, their weaknesses." The avian resistance leader studied Ilara intently, noting her strange eyes and the aura of power that seemed to emanate from her. After a long moment, Zinra nodded. "There is a Zarkan research facility in the Centauri system," Zinra explained, pulling up a holographic map. "Our spies believe they're developing a new weapon there, something that could tip the balance of power even further in their favor." Ilara's mind immediately began formulating a plan. If we could infiltrate that facility, we might find the information we need to stop their attack on Earth. Zinra seemed to hesitate. "It's heavily guarded, Captain. Many of our operatives have died trying to breach its defenses. "We'll find a way," Ilara assured him, her voice resonating with quiet confidence. As they discussed the details of the mission, Sarah noticed a flicker of movement in her peripheral vision. Acting on instinct, she shoved Ilara aside just as a plasma bolt sizzled through the air where the captain had been standing. "Ambush!" Ravi shouted, drawing his weapon. Chaos erupted in the small room. Hidden panels slid open, revealing a squad of Zarkin soldiers. Ilara's mind kicked into overdrive, analyzing the situation in microseconds. "Zinra, behind you," she called out, even as she raised a hand. A pulse of invisible energy erupted from her palm, sending 2 Zarkin troops crashing into a bank of computers. The avian resistance leader spun, talons slashing out to catch an attacker across the throat. "How did they find us?" Zinra screeched. Ilara's gaze fell on a small, cowering figure in the corner, a member of Zinra's own team. In an instant, she saw the truth. "We've been betrayed," she announced grimly. As Sarah and Ravi exchanged fire with the Zarkin, Ilara reached out with her mind, interfacing with the room's systems. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits, and the lights flickered wildly. "This way," she shouted, blasting open a hidden exit with another burst of energy. "We need to get to the Nexus." They fought their way through twisting corridors, Ilara's precognitive abilities allowing them to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. Zinra flew alongside them, razor-sharp feathers slicing through any Zarkin that got too close. As they emerged onto the street, the full scale of the ambush became clear. Imperial dropships descended from the sky, disgorging waves of troops. The entire spaceport had become a war zone. "We'll never make it to your ship," Zinra said, breathing heavily. "The spaceport is locked down." Ilara's eyes blazed with determination. "We're not going to the ship," she declared. "The ship is coming to us." Closing her eyes, Ilara reached out with her mind, connecting to the Nexus's AI across vast distances. She felt the ship respond, its quantum drive spinning up. "Everybody hold on to me," she ordered. Sarah and Ravi grabbed her arms, while Zinra clutched her shoulder with a taloned hand. As the Zarkin closed in from all sides, reality seemed to warp around the small group. With a flash of light and a sound like reality itself tearing, the Nexus materialized in the middle of the street. Its hull shimmered with energy, hovering impossibly in the confined space. "Go!" Ilara shouted. They leaped aboard just as the Zarkan opened fire. Plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against the ship's shields as the Nexus rose into the air. "Plot a course for the Centauri system," Ilara commanded as they reached the bridge. "Maximum speed." As the Nexus shot into hyperspace, leaving the chaos of Helios VI behind, Ilara turned to their new ally. "I'm sorry about your people, Zinra. We never meant to bring this down on you." The avian alien's feathers drooped with sorrow. "The price of defying the Empire is always high, Captain. But now, more than ever, I believe it's a price worth paying." Zinra's eyes gleamed with renewed determination. "You've given us hope. Whatever you need to bring down the Zarkin, the Resistance is with you." Ilara nodded solemnly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle even more heavily on her shoulders. They had gained an ally, but at a terrible cost. And now they were headed straight into the heart of enemy territory. As the Nexus hurtled through hyperspace towards the Centauri system, Ilara interfaced with the ship's systems, preparing for the challenges ahead. The Zarkan research facility held secrets that could change the course of the war, but it also promised to be the most dangerous mission they had faced yet. The true test of Ilara's newfound abilities and the loyalty of her crew was about to begin. The turning point. The Centauri system loomed before them, a binary star casting an eerie, fluctuating light across the Nexus's bridge. At the heart of the system lay their target, the Zarkan Research Facility, a massive space station bristling with defenses. Captain Ilara Chen stood motionless, her glowing eyes fixed on the tactical display. Her mind, now more machine than human, processed countless variables simultaneously. Battle scenarios, shield frequencies, weapon capabilities, all flowed through her consciousness in a dizzying stream of data. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. Sarah stepped forward, concern evident in her eyes. "The cloaking device is operational, Captain. We're running silent." But she hesitated, exchanging a glance with Ravi. "Speak freely, Commander," Ilara said, turning to face her XO. Sarah took a deep breath. "The crew is on edge, Captain. Your abilities, they're growing more extreme by the day. Some are wondering if you're still you." For a moment, something flickered in Ilara's eyes, a hint of the human she once was. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by the cool calculation of her enhanced mind. "Their concerns are noted," Ilara replied evenly. "But irrelevant to our mission. We do what must be done." Zinra, who had been quietly observing from a corner of the bridge, ruffled his feathers in agitation. "And what exactly is our plan, Captain?" "That station is impregnable." A ghost of a smile played across Ilara's lips. "Nothing is impregnable, my friend. Not when you can see the underlying patterns of reality itself." With a wave of her hand, Ilara brought up a detailed hologram of the Zarkan facility. "There's a weak point in their defenses, a fluctuation in the shield harmonics that occurs every 7.3 minutes. It's imperceptible to normal sensors, but to me." She trailed off, her eyes glazing over as she interfaced directly with the Nexus's systems. The ship's engines hummed to life, maneuvering them into position with impossible precision. "Prepare for my signal," Ilara ordered. "When I give the word, drop the cloak and fire everything we've got at these coordinates." The bridge crew worked in tense silence, watching as Ilara stood unnaturally still, her mind operating on a level they could scarcely comprehend. Seconds ticked by, feeling like an eternity. Suddenly, Ilara's eyes snapped open. Now. The Nexus decloaked, its weapons unleashing a devastating barrage at a seemingly random point on the station's shields. For a split second, nothing happened. Then, miraculously, the energy beams punched through, striking the facility's outer hull. Alarms blared throughout the Zarkan station. Before they could react, Ilara's voice rang out again. "Boarding party, prepare for teleport." In a flash of light, Ilara, Sarah, Ravi, and Zinra materialized inside the facility. They found themselves in a dimly lit corridor, surrounded by blinking consoles and strange, pulsing organic technology. "This way," Ilara said, moving with purpose. "The main data core is 3 levels down." As they made their way through the station, encountering surprisingly little resistance, an uneasy feeling settled over the group. It was Zinra who finally voiced their concerns. "This is too easy," the avian alien whispered. "Where are all the guards?" As if in answer, a massive blast door slid shut behind them, sealing off their escape route. Ahead, another door opened, revealing a large chamber. And there, waiting for them, stood Admiral Krovak himself, flanked by a squad of elite Zarkan warriors. "Welcome, Captain Chen." Krovak's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. "We've been expecting you." Ilara's mind raced, analyzing the situation. How had they known? Her eyes fell on Sarah, and in an instant she understood. The patterns of betrayal were clear as day. "You," Ilara said softly, turning to her XO. "You're the one who's been feeding them information." Sarah's face crumpled with a mixture of guilt and defiance. "I'm sorry, Ilara, but you're not yourself anymore. The artifact, it's changing you, changing all of us. I had to do something." Before anyone could react, Krovak raised a strange, organic-looking weapon. "Enough talk. The precursor technology you carry will be ours, human. And with it, the Zarkan Empire will reign supreme for eternity." Time seemed to slow as the Admiral fired. Ilara saw the energy bolt racing towards her, its trajectory clear in her enhanced perception. She could dodge it easily, but doing so would mean certain death for Ravi, who stood directly behind her. In that fraction of a second, Ilara made her choice. She stood her ground, allowing the blast to strike her squarely in the chest. Pain exploded through her body, unlike anything she had ever experienced. She fell to her knees, dimly aware of the chaos erupting around her. Ravi and Zinra returned fire, while Sarah stood frozen in horror at what she had wrought. As Ilara's consciousness began to fade, something extraordinary happened. The precursor knowledge within her, sensing the threat to its host, activated dormant neural pathways. Ilara's mind expanded exponentially, tapping into powers she never knew she possessed. With a thought, she reached out and touched the very fabric of space-time. The laws of physics bent to her will. Gravity reversed, sending Krovak and his soldiers crashing into the ceiling. Temporal fields flickered around Ravi and Zinra, accelerating their movements to blur. Impossible. Krovak sputtered as he clawed at the floor-turned ceiling. What are you? Ilara rose to her feet, her wounds knitting closed before their eyes. When she spoke, her voice resonated with the power of ages. I am the next step in evolution, Admiral. The bridge between organic life and the fundamental forces of the universe. With a gesture, she tore open a portal in reality itself. Through it, they could see the bridge of the Nexus. Go, she commanded Ravi and Zinra. Get to the ship. Prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. As her companions leaped through the portal, Ilara turned to Sarah. You too, old friend. Your betrayal came from a place of concern, misguided though it was. I forgive you. Tears streaming down her face, Sarah nodded and stepped through the rift. Left alone with Krovak and his troops, Ilara's eyes blazed with cosmic fire. You wanted the secrets of the precursors, Admiral. Allow me to enlighten you. She placed her hand on Krovak's forehead, and the Zarkin leader screamed as knowledge beyond comprehension flooded his mind. When she released him, he fell to his knees, chittering in a language no living being had spoken in eons. The age of the Zarkin Empire is over, Ilara declared. A new era of peace and understanding begins today. With that, she stepped through the portal, leaving the shattered remnants of Krovak's forces behind. As the rift closed, Ilara felt the weight of destiny settling upon her shoulders. She had become something beyond human, beyond even the precursors themselves. The true challenge lay ahead, reshaping the galaxy in the image of peace, while not losing the last vestiges of her humanity in the process. As the Nexus prepared to broadcast their message of hope to the stars, Ilara Chen stood at the precipice of a new age, ready to guide the galaxy into an uncertain but promising future. Endgame. The galaxy held its breath. Across countless worlds, beings of every conceivable form gathered around communication devices, their eyes fixed on the image of Captain Ilara Chen. Her message of hope and unity, broadcast from the Nexus, had sent shockwaves through the stars. For the first time in millennia, the iron grip of the Zarkin Empire began to loosen. But even as rebellions erupted on 1,000 worlds, the Zarkin prepared their final desperate gambit. On the bridge of the Nexus, Ilara stood motionless, her glowing eyes fixed on the swirling patterns of space-time only she could see. Sarah approached cautiously, still uncertain of her place after her earlier betrayal. Captain, she said softly, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. Your message, it's working. People are rising up against the Zarkin. Ilara turned, a hint of a smile playing across her lips. For a moment, Sarah caught a glimpse of the woman she had once known. That's good news, Sarah, but it's not over yet. As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the ship. Ravi's voice rang out, tight with tension. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. It's the Zarkin fleet, the largest we've ever seen. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made even Ilara's enhanced heart skip a beat. Thousands of Zarkan warships filled the void, their insectoid hulls gleaming menacingly in the light of distant stars. At their center loomed a monstrosity that dwarfed even the largest dreadnoughts, a planet-sized battle station, bristling with weapons beyond imagining. By the precursors, Zinra whispered, his feathers standing on end. What is that thing? Ilara's mind raced, processing the tactical data faster than any computer. It's a nexus, she said, her voice tinged with awe and horror, like the artifact that changed me, but weaponized on a cosmic scale. If they activate it, she didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone on the bridge understood the stakes. This was it, the final confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy. A transmission cut through the tense silence. Admiral Krovak's face appeared on screen, his compound eyes glittering with madness and newfound knowledge. You see now the true power of the Zarkan, Captain Chen. He chittered. The secrets you forced into my mind, we've put them to good use. Our nexus will remake the galaxy in our image. Surrender now, and perhaps we'll allow your precious Earth to survive as a slave world. Ilara stood tall, her voice resonating with otherworldly power. You've built a pale imitation of true power, Admiral. You understand the letters, but not the words. This ends now. With a thought, she severed the connection. Turning to her crew, Ilara's eyes blazed with determination. This is the moment everything has been leading to. Are you with me? One by one, they nodded. Even Sarah, seeking redemption, stepped forward. To the end, Captain. Ilara interfaced directly with the Nexus's systems, her consciousness expanding to encompass the entire ship. Then let's rewrite the stars. The battle that followed would be spoken of in whispered awe for generations to come. The Nexus danced through the Zarkan fleet, its weapons guided by Ilara's impossible precognition. Entire squadrons of enemy ships fell before they could even fire a shot. But for every Zarkan vessel they destroyed, 10 more took its place. Slowly, inexorably, they found themselves pushed back, cornered against the looming bulk of the Zarkan Nexus. Shields at 15%. Ravi shouted over the din of battle. We can't take much more of this. Ilara stood at the center of the maelstrom, her mind working on levels beyond human comprehension. In that moment, she saw it all. Every possible future, every branching path of destiny. And she understood what had to be done. Get to the escape pods, she ordered, her voice calm amidst the chaos. Sarah's eyes widened in realization. Ilara, no. Whatever you're planning. This isn't up for debate, Commander. Ilara cut her off, a hint of her old authority breaking through. I need you to lead our people, to finish what we started. As the crew reluctantly made their way to the escape pods, Ilara turned her full attention to the Zarkan Nexus. She could feel its power calling to her, recognizing her as kin. With a thought, she established a connection. Admiral Krovak's voice rang out once more. What is this? What are you doing? Ilara allowed herself a small smile. I told you, Admiral. You never understood the true nature of the power you were dealing with. Allow me to demonstrate. With that, Ilara Chen let go of the last vestiges of her humanity. Her consciousness expanded, merging with both the human nexus and its Zarkan counterpart. She became a being of pure energy and thought, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions. From the escape pods, her crew watched in awe as both ships began to glow with impossible energy. The laws of physics seemed to bend and twist around them. My God, Sarah whispered. What is she doing? Zinra's voice was filled with reverence. She's rewriting reality itself. In the heart of the dueling nexuses, Ilara faced off against the essence of Krovak and the Zarkan Empire. Their minds clashed on a plane of existence beyond mortal comprehension, each seeking to impose their vision of the future on the fabric of space-time. Krovak fought with the desperation of a dying regime, unleashing eons of accumulated knowledge and hatred. But Ilara met him with something far more powerful: hope, compassion, and a fundamental understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. In the physical world, the Zarkan fleet began to waver. Ships blinked out of existence or transformed into swirling vortexes of pure energy. The very stars themselves seemed to dance to a new cosmic symphony. With a final, reality-shattering burst of will, Ilara Chen rewrote the fundamental laws of the universe. The Zarkan Empire, with all its cruelty and tyranny, was unmade. Not destroyed, but transformed. Its people given a chance to evolve beyond their warlike nature. As the cosmos reshaped itself around them, Sarah and the others felt a warm presence envelop them. Ilara's voice, now infinite and all-encompassing, spoke directly into their minds. "It's done," she said, her words carrying the weight of newborn galaxies. "The age of conflict is over. A new era of peace and discovery begins." "Ilara," Sarah called out, tears streaming down her face. "Are you?" The presence seemed to smile. "I am everywhere and everyone, old friend. My journey is just beginning. But never forget, the power to shape reality has always been within you. In all of you." With that, the presence faded, leaving behind a transformed galaxy. The escape pod sensors showed a universe teeming with new possibilities, spatial anomalies to explore, peaceful civilizations to meet, and mysteries beyond imagining to unravel. As they set a course for Earth, to share the miraculous news with their homeworld, Sarah gazed out at the star-studded void. Somewhere out there, Ilara Chen, once a simple starship captain, now a cosmic force beyond comprehension, was watching over them all. The hunt was over, the war was won, and the greatest adventure in the history of the galaxy was just beginning.